Is the mic on? Is modern art a big screw you? Is the joke on us? I went to the MoMA, Museum of Modern Art in New York City, and I felt like an idiot. The exhibits that are in a museum, there was a bookcase. Somebody built a bookcase, like 8 cubes on top of each other, and it's on a wall. What am I, at IKEA? I could do that. Then there was a rope coming out of a wall. It went onto the floor. I said, there's a rope coming out of the wall. What's this all about? Maybe this is a political statement or something. So I look at the title of the piece, because you can usually get clues from that. Guess what it said? Rope coming out of wall. This isn't a museum. I saw 4 black paintings in frames all next to each other. It makes me so angry. And so I was so fed up with it. I posted this on social media. I found a part of the museum where there was nothing on the wall. 2 walls coming together into a corner, and there was nothing on the left, nothing on the right. So I took a picture, and I said, this is my favorite exhibit at the MoMA. Now that to me is art. That's art, what I did. And I'll tell you why. And this is how I know it's such bullshit. Because as I was taking the picture, I looked around and I created a little bit of excitement. And other people started to take pictures of the 2 blank walls. That's what art is. It's whatever you get somebody to buy into. $30 for the MoMA. What's wrong with that? I'll tell you, there's a lot wrong with that. $30, line around the block. I thought, I'm doing everything wrong in my career. Bringing this down. I should post some of the pictures of the exhibits. My favorite thing was, what's his name, Kev? Orny. I did like this exhibit where they had old telephones and you picked it up and there was something called dial-a-poem from like the 60s or 70s, and you could hear people reading poems. That was kind of cool. But the rest, modern art should stop at Picasso. I love Picasso, speaks to me. Love the colors, love the designs, the cubism. I can walk into a room in the museum, in an exhibit, and I'll see all sorts of paintings that kind of look like Picasso. Picasso-esque. And then I can look and go, that one's a Picasso. I can pick a Picasso, that's my skill. I'm gonna do a game show called, Is It a Picasso or Isn't It? And I'm gonna win every week. $30 for the MoMA. $30. Went to another museum too in New York City. I'll talk about my trip to New York. I went to the Whitney Museum. I went down. I used to live right there. The building right behind the Whitney is where I used to live. Right there on Horatio Street in Washington. And on Gansevoort, there used to be the Florent Diner that I could never afford. It's all models and people that had money. I didn't have money. I couldn't eat at Florent. I had to go to Bus Stop Cafe, which I went to and took pictures of. I have a lot of thoughts in my head. Florent, let me tell you what I didn't like about Florent. It was like French breakfast, and that means no potatoes. Sorry, France, but here in America, we like potatoes with our breakfast. We don't want to start the day eating salad. That's why I don't like France sometimes. You give us a croissant, thank you for the croissant. But that's another thing I noticed. Every coffee place now has croissant. It used to be rare, the croissant. Now it's just pedestrian. When did America become a croissant on every corner? I fear for it all. I really do. I'm going to talk about my trip to New York City. I'm going to talk about me trying to chase down a check that's owed to me by somebody. I don't even know who. I'm going to talk about, this for sure. Check this out. Happened again.
Well, a child is recovering after being attacked by a river otter. It happened in Bremerton, forcing the mom to jump into the water to rescue her child.
Isn't that nice? I didn't even have the volume on.
Recovering after being attacked.
Hold on.
Well, a child is recovering after being attacked by a river otter.
Oh, sound familiar?
In Bremerton, forcing the mom to jump.
Bremerton. I did a show in Bremerton at their theater. Loved it. Nice people. And now they're under attack by otters. I'm telling you, this is my cause. A lot of people have causes. Mine is the awareness of otters attacking us. They say it's rare. Doesn't seem rare. Happened again. I want to thank the listener that sent me this. Larry sent me this clip and said, look, it happened again. Good old Bremerton.
Into the water to rescue her child. According to the State Department of Fish and Wildlife, a river otter attacked a mom and a child on a dock at the Bremerton Marina. They said that river otter dragged the child into the water and underwater, scratching and biting them.
These are
the mom
dangerous
quickly
animals.
pulled the child out of the water and then ran away while the otter chased them. The child was treated at a hospital in Silverdale. River otter attacks can result in some serious...
I wonder how the hospitals are in Silverdale. This is why you don't want to be attacked by an otter in Bremerton. You end up in a hospital in Riverdale.
Injuries, though.
Riverdale
and
is
Jen river otter attacks can result in Silverdale.
Silverdale
attacks can result in some serious injuries, though. And Jen Royce knows.
How stupid am I? I just heard Silverdale. I said, oh, you want to end up in a hospital in Silverdale. 5 seconds later, I call it Riverdale. What's wrong with Orny Adams?
Well, last summer, Royce, who lives in Bozeman, Montana, was attacked by a river otter. She says she's trying to spread awareness so that other people aren't caught off.
You know, all these people in Bozeman, Montana talk about how great it is in Bozeman, Montana. But is anybody mentioning that the river otters are attacking people there?
Luckily, it didn't get my eye, but it was just very close. It bit through my nose. Hopefully, if someone learned something from my story that helps prevent this in the future, then I feel like that's why I'm still here.
So attacks like this are not a common occurrence. In fact, only 6 have been reported in Washington over the last decade. However, if a river otter does attack, they can cause some serious damage. So the Department of Fish and Wildlife is warning that people should avoid getting too close.
Avoid getting too close. They're walking on a dock. Excuse me, a dock that I've been on in Bremerton before my shows. What if Orny Adams comes to Bremerton to do a show and is dragged into the water by a river otter? They're aggressive. Be careful. I'd like to do my PSA. Hi. Let me make sure my hair's right, just in case this goes viral. Hi. This is comedian Orny Adams. Hi. I got this. Take 3. Hi, this is famous comedian Orny Adams, actor. And I'm here to let you know that those cute, cuddly little river otters that you might be told are safe when you go into a lake in Sedona or a river by the local hippies. Oh yeah, no, there's river otters, but don't worry about them. I'm here to let you know that they can be dangerous, aggressive, and rabid. Say no to being attacked by a river otter. This message is approved by famous comedian Orny Adams. It happened again. Keep sending me these otter. I'm telling you. Fish and Wildlife don't want us to know how dangerous there are. Apparently, more attacks than great whites. Right? Oh, yeah, this is great. When I was at the Whitney Museum, they announced that there was going to be a free tour of 2 paintings, and they're going to be 15 minutes each at 2 paintings. So I said, well, I'll at least commit to one. So we were examining an Andy Warhol, and everybody, they gave us chairs. There must have been like 30 people gathered around, and we were to spend exactly 1 minute staring at the painting, making all the conclusions we could in our head, and then we would share it with the group. And so we stared, and I didn't realize how long 1 minute without any distractions looking at a phone it's quite a long time. And then this is how it's changed. This it was a graphic, and it was 2 people, it was a Warhol, and on the left was what appears to be a woman with a crooked nose, like a witchy nose, as one person described it. I thought it was an anti-Semitic nose. And on the right side was the woman after having plastic surgery. And indeed, it was an ad for plastic surgery that Andy Warhol had done for print, for publication like in a magazine. And we talked about this for 14 long minutes. And people saying the dumbest shit. I'm the only one that had this to say. I thought I was going to get an applause. People looked at me like I was an idiot. I said, well, it appears that the painting moves. I like to pretend I know something about art. Moves from left to right, just like the evolutionary chart of man. And this is showing the evolution of human beings into plastic surgery and change. And people just looked at me. Gosh, some like 10-year-old kid raised his hand and said, oh, looks like the girl on the right had a nose job. And it was, oh, good observation, kid. Good observation. I'm comparing the painting to the evolution. Here's the thing. We overthought this painting. And they kept telling us, this was cracking me up. This is a safe place to say whatever you want and a brave place. Then nobody said anything safe or brave or anything. And in fact, we sat there overanalyzing like, you notice the eye on the left is a little bit wider than the one on the right. And let me tell you something. Warhol probably did a bunch of drugs, probably came back from the nightclub at 4 o'clock in the morning and went, shit, this thing is due at 7 a.m. and whipped something up. And we're sitting there treating it like this guy was rewriting the Constitution. I wish you'd looked at my comedy like this and looked at subtle changes in uses of words and topics and what's going on. And other people doing stand-up comedy too. Stand-up comedy should be examined, the good stand-up, much like art in museum. Been saying that for years. It drives me nuts. When I was in New York City, I don't want to brag, but one day I walked 23,000 steps. Might be 22. I think it's 23. I took a screenshot. I was walking nonstop everywhere. I was staying up by Central Park South. Did a show. Did a private event. Loved it. Worked for this company before. Loved it. And I love walking around Manhattan. I really do. I went to a lot of coffee places. A lot of bad coffee. I don't know why. And yeah, it was fun. It was fun. It's very emotional for me going back to New York City. I don't know why. I think I know why. I think it's because I left on top. I was on my way. I had been in New York for several years. I feel like I got my PhD in comedy. I was doing dozens of shows a week. I'm not kidding. Sometimes 22 shows in a weekend, several shows a night, 6 sometimes, running around, loving it, doing comedy for the sake of comedy, not to get somewhere or get something. Although I ended up getting a deal with Warner Brothers, and I moved to Los Angeles, and I left there triumphantly. And maybe it's a fear going back that I'm not there anymore, that I won't be accepted back. I think that's what it is. Or maybe it's I didn't advance as far as I thought I would. I don't know, but I have nothing but great memories of New York City. Nothing. I had a great time. I really did. I was poor. I had no money. I was working the road. I was working on my craft. I loved it. I didn't have a car. I have to worry about parking or parking tickets or meters. I would hop on public transportation to get to my gigs. The subway was 85 cents. Now it's like $2.90. Sometimes I didn't even, I would walk to save 85 cents. That's how much I love walking in New York City. It's so therapeutic. And I just loved it. I loved my apartment. I loved everything. I loved the West Village, which is now, it's a museum. The Whitney's there. They have this walk. It's turned into Beverly Hills. There's Gucci. There's Ferragamo. There's Louis Vuitton, the red shoes that women like to wear. What it has turned into is not what it was, which was a meatpacking district where I'd come home from shows at 3 o'clock in the morning and I'd see them loading and unloading meat onto trucks, sometimes a frozen body. But hey, that's New York City. Sometimes a mob hit's being taken out. But I loved it. The blood-soaked streets from the steers. I should write a poem about it. And I would walk every night to my first set at the Comedy Cellar. And I'd go down, I could either go down 4th Street or Bleecker. And if we went on 4th Street, it was a bunch of, if you go on 4th Street, it feels like you're in another country. Cool little shops, restaurants, cafes. And I would see people eating, enjoying their lives. And I thought, that's going to be me someday. It actually was me last night. Wait till I tell you that story. I didn't have money. I didn't have money until I did that Carl's Jr. commercial that I discussed on another podcast. And I made thousands of dollars. And I had money to go eat breakfast at the bus stop cafe, which I walked to from my old place, which is now Disneyland down there, the West Village. And I went to the bus stop cafe and I took pictures of the interior, the old booths. I love it. I used to get, it was like this breakfast special. It might have been $5.99 for an egg and Swiss omelet. It's all you get. And that was the one special that one day. Maybe it was Tuesday. And it came with coffee. And, you know, you're out of there for under $10. Now, I went to breakfast here in LA the other day. 2 people. I want to write a Yelp review. I'm so angry. I should show you the receipt. 2 people. 2 omelets, a coffee, and a tea. That's it. With tip, $70. That's disgusting. That's a dinner. $70 for eggs. And don't blame inflation. Eggs have not gone up. Potatoes have not gone up. Mushrooms have not gone up that much at it. $70. I'm done going out for breakfast in the city. Take me back to the bus stop cafe. Was on, wasn't James Street. What street? There on Hudson, and I don't know what the intersection was, but I was there. I loved it. I'd bring my journal. I used to keep a journal. Stopped keeping a journal the day after 9/11. So I thought, why? What's it all worth? What does any of this mean? Changed a lot. That 9/11 and COVID changed everything. Changed everything. So, yeah. So I love New York, and I found myself walking down Bleecker, and I'm like, I'm getting close to the Comedy Cellar. Do I want to do it? Do I want to open that can of emotions? My biggest fear is that I walk in and nobody knows me, and now I'm the old guy. So as I'm getting closer, I feel the gravitational pull to do it. And I make my way to the cellar. First thing I did was I went to where I used to live. The first place that I rented or shared with somebody, 206 Sullivan. And there was a fortune teller reader out front in those days. And there were 3 of us in a, it was a studio. And we built the bed bugs, probably, bunk beds. And then on top of the bathroom, small bathroom, there was a space. It was no more than like that. And we put a mattress, and that's where I slept. I would come into town and do shows. This is after I was in Boston, and Disney had seen me. I think I've told that story. Disney saw me and flew me out to Los Angeles for a development meeting. And after that, everybody wanted to see me. That's how I broke into New York City. And I'd stay with Jeff, my buddy Jeff, who I lived with in Italy. And I would sleep on that loft and go do my shows. So I went to 206 Sullivan, and the fortune teller's still there. I took pictures. I go, they're still there. Some things haven't changed. Things that haven't changed blow my mind. Like that Comedy Cellar. And I used to work the Comedy Cellar every single night. A woman named Esty books it. And I have such respect for Esty. And I'm telling you, it was a Sunday, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I expected nobody to be there. And I walk, as I'm walking to open the door, Esty comes out. I haven't seen Esty in years. I've worked the clubs. I've worked there. And I haven't seen Esty. And I said, Esty, I said, Orny Adams. And she goes, I know. I said, I can't tell you how much you mean to me. And I said, I'm going to get emotional. And she said, your eyes, your eyes, you're tearing up, your water. And I said, I know. She was, give me a hug. And I said, and I mean this. I've said it on my podcast. Nobody books a club like Esty. She's one of the greatest. In fact, I think it's amazing that on the East Coast, there's Esty. On the West Coast, there was the Comedy Store. Oh, my God, I'm blanking on her name. Shore. Mitzi Shore. So Mitzi Shore on the West Coast and Esty. And these are women that have defined comedy careers. Women that got comedy and really cared and loved comedy. From what I understand about Mitzi, I never worked with her. I don't think I ever met her. I think I met her one time briefly at a funeral. And if you think about it, most of the comedy clubs in Los Angeles are all booked by women. The Improv is, Laugh Factory, Comedy Store Now, all booked by women. Thank God. But that Comedy Cellar, in my opinion, is the greatest comedy club that has ever existed and will ever exist. That's it. I think the Comedy Store is, for some people, feels the same way. I don't have that attachment. I don't work there, so I don't know. I didn't come up there. I didn't develop there. But man, the Comedy Store is on fire right now. It's a place to be. Real comedy fans. Same with the Comedy Cellar. And Esty would craft lineups. There would be a purpose for everything. She wasn't just throwing people together. There was a reason for it. She wouldn't move your spot sometimes because it didn't make sense, for the lineup. And what I always respected about that club is it wasn't about who's famous, who has the most social media followers, who's on a TV show or a movie. It was who were the mother effers of stand-up comedy. They got up on stage at the Cellar, and to this day, it's still one of the hardest clubs to work. They're on top of you. You're just right there in the middle, and the stage is 3 1/4 inches. I think I measured it one time. And I have such respect and reverence, and Esty means so much to me. And I kept, she said, come inside. And she goes, give me another hug. And she said, sit down, let me buy you lunch. And she said she had to go, which I understood. She was there for a brunch show. And I sat there and I talked to the people that are still, the managers are still there, that were there when I was working years ago. So it was beautiful. And my biggest fear of going back and nobody not knowing me, didn't happen this time. Maybe next time. But the world of comedy has changed so much. And I just remember always seeing the old guys and feeling like, I don't want to say sorry, but just like, hey, I'm here now. It's my time. And I'm not going to end up, I'm going to be the biggest comic ever. So, anyway, I've got shows coming up, everybody. If you go to ornyadams.com/tour this weekend, I'll be back in Vegas, Jimmy Kimmel's Comedy Club. When am I there? The 20th and the 21st, I think, of September. Friday, Saturday, 4 shows. Following weekend, Brea Improv. What's that? 27, 28, 29? Might be off by a day. Doesn't matter. Go to ornyadams.com/tour. I was at the Ice House last weekend. And, it's some nights it's unbelievable. What just happened? The lights just go out? It's unbelievable when it's like, it's packed with people that know you and know you from, I don't know, maybe they saw your special, maybe they saw you on Teen Wolf, maybe they've seen. One guy was laughing so loud, stage right. I said, you got the greatest laugh in the world. I need that at my comedy special. I said, is this the first time you've seen me? And he said, no, I saw you last weekend in Las Vegas. Or last Thursday. So, thank you. It feels like a happening. Then people line up and take pictures and buy merchandise. And one guy came up to me, and I hope I'm not out of line saying this. Came up to me and he said, could you charge $100 on my credit card? I shouldn't even say that. It doesn't matter. So he said, I want to thank you. I said, what for? He said, I came to see you last year with a woman who was about to commit suicide. And she laughed so hard at your show. She hadn't laughed in forever. And now she's healthy, enjoying life, not suicidal. And I said, I saved somebody's life? And he said, well, I wouldn't go that far. He said, but you helped. You helped. And I'm grateful to you because you made her laugh so much that it shook her out of that state. I said, sounds like I saved a life. And I felt good for a minute. And then I thought, geez, I wonder how many people are suicidal and come to my shows. And then it makes them want to kill themselves even more. I don't want to joke about suicide, but I did have that thought. I think sometimes we forget the impact we have on people, good and bad. Good and bad. So I think that, when you think about comedy, and I think about I measure my success by how much the phone is ringing, how many emails I get, how many people take my calls, how many people, treat me with respect. And really, I guess I'm impacting lives where I don't see it. So I want to thank that guy and that woman. I think her name begins with C, and I hope you're doing well. And you got to come back and laugh some more. And I'm glad you're healthy. I'm glad. Whatever it was, I hope those demons are out of your head. Life is tough. Life is tough. This came up when I was talking to Jason, and he was very frank about his, his suicidal thoughts. And you got to stick it out. You got to come see a show. My show, for sure. But what I'm trying to say to you is, the listener, is that you're impacting people, good and bad, every day. And you don't even know how. And just know if you're doing the right thing, you're probably impacting people in a great way. In a great way. And maybe that's your purpose. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. God, there was a guy on the plane coming back from New York City. Oh, I want to say this. Company offered to fly me back. I was doing a private show on a private jet a day later, but I thought, I want to get back to Los Angeles. I'm working so much lately, and also, who cares? And then what if they go, oh, we're not gonna leave on Thursday on the jet. We're gonna leave on Friday because we got another meeting. I don't want to be beholden, but guy next to me had the most annoying shoe sock combination. I took a picture of it. And the guy's on the phone just talking like obnoxious business. He's like, well, can you call Delta and see how close I am to Diamond? I should be Diamond already. Can you call, like all loud? I'm like, hey, asshole, I could be on a private jet. You don't see me announcing that. And by the way, look at my sock shoe combination. I have flamingos on my socks. Oh, the guy was going on and on. Drove me nuts. See, you don't know how you impact people's lives. You just don't. The guy with the shoe and the sock drove me nuts. But he didn't know that. Read a great article in the New York Times, if I can find this. I recommend everybody. I've been saying this for years. I wish people would listen to me. Here's the headline. This is New York Times, September 15th, 2024. Parents should ignore their children more often. I don't know what's going on. I don't have kids. Far be it from me to tell you how to raise your kids, but I'm going to tell you how to raise your kids. Stop making them the center of attention of everything. Stop making them the focal point. Ignore them. I was ignored as a kid. Allows you to go off and be creative. I'm going to read a couple of paragraphs, and this will be sort of the jumping off talking points, okay? Where are the glasses? More important. They're saying that you should ignore your kids, like what I just said. Growing up, I was ignored. Families, they still did stuff for me. But more important, following adults around gives children the tremendous gift of learning to tolerate boredom, which fosters patience, resourcefulness, and creativity. There is evidence from neuroscience that a resting brain is not an idle one. The research tells us that the mind gets busy when it is left alone to do its own thing. In particular, it tends to think about other people's minds. If you want to raise an empathetic, imaginative child who can figure out how to entertain themselves, don't keep their brains too occupied. An excellent way to bore children is to take them to an older relative's house and force them to listen to a long adult conversation about family members they don't know. I remember this growing up. Specifically, I noticed in my family, the kids are off. They're off, or they're on devices. They're listening. And I see it everywhere. Like at dinners, I go out to dinner, I see kids with headphones on. They should be listening and learning and picking up vocabulary and stories and what's important and family values and their heritage, but they don't. They're on TikTok watching women and men dance. Holy shit. Part of my, development was greatly influenced by eavesdropping on adults having very boring conversations. The article continues. This is an opinion guest essay from the New York Times, trying to find who wrote it. You should credit this person. Darby Saxby, Saxbe, is a clinical psychologist and professor of psychology at the University of Southern California. She is writing a book on how fatherhood transforms men. Okay. Well, let me continue here, okay? Leaving kids screens at home on such trips can deepen the useful tedium. I know kids are on screens way too much. It's the most unhealthy thing. Might as well shove a 20-pack of cigarettes in their mouth. It also forces parents to build up their tolerance to their children's fussiness, an essential component of underparenting. That's the word they keep using, underparenting. Parents too often feel the need to engage their children in fun activities to tempt them away from screens. But by teaching children to crave constant external stimulation and entertainment, intensive parenting can actually worsen screen dependence. These kids do not have to be occupied at all times. You don't have to go goo goo gaga, goo goo gaga. These kids can sit in the corner bored. They can watch us do our work. They can watch how we live. I'm so sick of, what do you want for dinner, kids? How about you give the kids whatever you're eating? Where do you want to go today, kids? What do you want to do, kids? Want to stay at the playground longer, kids? Parents are catering to kids too much. They're coddling them, and it's why they're so messed up. And then they're on their screens. Why don't parents have the courage to say no screens? What is going on? It doesn't matter anyway. We're all dying. Everyone's dying. I said this years ago. I said, everyone's talking about plastic bottles and the damage of the leakage of the chemicals. And I said, well, these meals you heat up in the microwave that come in plastic containers? How do we know that plastic? What is that? This stuff comes from overseas, probably from countries trying to poison Americans and kill us slowly. How do we know the chemicals from our clothing, from the paper towels we use, all the wrappers? Well, there's an article that came out, and it said that a study showed that there's thousands of chemicals in our bodies that come from the containers that hold our food, and that there's called leach migration, and we're essentially just poisoning ourselves. We used to live on farms. Oh, that was the other thing that this article said, was that 90% of our lives we've been hunters and gatherers. It's just in this 10%, everything's changed. And the way we parent should be more hunter-gatherer. You know, leave the kids alone. Let the other kids in the family help raise the kids. Listen to this. BPA. So this is stuff that's leaking from our kids. Remember when I was a kid, if you bought fruit, you went to the farm, you bought fruit, it went into a brown paper bag. A little brown paper bag, and then they weighed it. Same with the blueberries. We're in like a paper type container. Now everything's plastic. All the blueberries come in plastic. Everything is in plastic. And it's leaching, it's inside of us, and it's killing us. You want to know why we're so effed up? I mean, everybody talks about like what leads to the increase in autism, what leads to the increase in, alien sightings. It's the leaching, the plastic. BPA is an endocrine disruptor that has been linked to fetal abnormalities, low birth weight, brain and behavior disorders. Put me on that list. In infants and children. Oh, I'm not an infant. In adults. Oh, this is my category. The chemical has been linked to development of diabetes, heart disease, erectile dysfunction, cancer, and a 49% higher risk of early death within 10 years. Another chemical group in food packaging that has migrated into people's, what is this word? Phthalates. It's not Pilates. Phthalates, the research revealed, found, oh my God, shampoo, makeup, perfume, children's toys, as well as containers, food containers, have been linked with, you gotta be shitting me, genital malformations in undescended testes in baby boys, and lower sperm counts and testosterone levels in adult males. Have you noticed a lot less testosterone going around lately? I'm reading about the young people. They don't want to bone anymore. Why be young if you're not boning? I'm also reading that the adults, the boomers, the aging boomers are boning so much, they're passing around STDs. So what's going on? The boomers are boning, and Gen Z, or I call Gen Vocal Fry, they're not boning. Young people don't want to bone anymore. What the hell is going on? This world is confusing, and it sucks. But I've been saying it for years. All this plastic around us that we're so worried about ending up in the ocean and up sea turtles' noses is ending up inside of us. We have forever chemicals. We're forever screwed. Plastic is evil. There should be so much less plastic. I read this article. I said, I think I want to live on a farm and grow my own pesticide-free vegetables and pull it out of the earth and eat it. Because everything in these containers, I'm thinking about everything in my kitchen, everything in a plastic bag, whether it's tortilla chips. I mean, when I was a kid, we bought potato chips, went to this place called State Line Potato Chips. I think it was on the New Hampshire border, and they fresh potato chips in a brown bag, and it would seep through. Now, maybe there's chemicals in brown bags. I don't know. I mean, I was watching a show on the wildlife, and the bears, when the salmon's swimming upstream, the bears would just go pull a fish out of the water and eat it. I think that's what it needs to come to for me. And I hate fish. God, I hate fish. Hate eating in fish restaurants with other people eating their fish, enjoying their life, and I have that shitty, overcooked chicken sandwich with the french fries that taste like fish. Now, I don't know what's happened since COVID, but I taste fish a lot more in stuff that doesn't have fish. Cashews the other day tasted fishy to me. I stopped eating Thai food because they'll put fish sauce in anything. Thai people are like, yo, you know what the salad dressing needs? Fish sauce. You know what the salad dressing doesn't need? Fish sauce. It's unbelievable. This life. It's exhausting, isn't it? Somebody owes me money. A check was supposed to come in the mail from a state agency that dispenses money owed. And my check is missing. And I called the number on the check. I Googled the name on the check. I'm just queuing up a video. I Googled the name of the person. It's our state person, a treasurer that sends out these checks. I Googled her name. I think it's like Malia or something. And I found the office, and I called the office. And you're not going to believe what they told me. And it reminded me of this bit from my special, More Than Loud. There's no common sense. I got a ticket because the thieves in Los Angeles are stealing off of our license plates the little registration year sticker. Yes, and you don't know your sticker's missing. Because you don't go out to your car every morning and go, is my sticker still there? You don't know until you get a ticket. So I called the DMV. I said, hey, there's a mix-up. I got a ticket, but my car's registered. And she goes, sir, you need to prove to us that your car's registered. I said, I'm sorry. Am I talking to the DMV? Isn't that a little piece of information you should have? She goes, sir, it's policy. You need to send us a copy of your registration. I said, I don't even know where that is. She said, we'd be happy to send you a copy. To send back to us. This is the shit world that I live in. There you go. I didn't even open up the envelope. I just wrote return to sender. You know what? It's like that's one of those bits that I love it. And I feel like that is a signature, like a lot of my bits feel like that bit. I've been trying to write one. When I bought this house, I got nailed with not paying taxes because the bill for the taxes didn't arrive in my name. And I don't want to do the bit, but I've been trying to write it. I just can't get it to the point where I'm comfortable doing it. But I had another experience. I get something called informed delivery. I get an email every day with images of the mail that will be arriving. And what looked like two pieces of mail on top of each other, which to me says something got stuck in the machine, I could see coming out of the side was a check from this Malia. I think her name was Malia, who's our treasurer. And so the check never arrived. So I asked the mail guy, I don't know where it is. I said, maybe we'll come tomorrow. It hasn't arrived. So yesterday I called her office. And the guy said, listen, there's a check coming from your office. I don't know what for. Can you search by Social Security? He said, no. We issue checks for hundreds of agencies in California, which I noticed. Like one of them's like child support checks come from this office, like all sorts of checks. Every check you could imagine. So he kept saying, you need to call the agency that sent you the check and say that it's lost. I said, I don't know what agency sent me the check. I go, what can I do? He goes, kept reading the script. You need to call the agency that sent you the script. I don't know who the agency is. I have a check that just arrived or supposed to arrive. I don't know. I feel like I'm owed money. Can't you look it up by Social Security number? Sorry, sir. The only thing you can do is reach out to the agency. You're not listening. I don't know what agency. What can I do? What would you do, sir? All I can tell you is you need to reach out to the agency that issued the check and tell them it's lost. I don't know what agency. This is the office that issued the check. You can't search my name and Social Security number and say, oh, turns out you owed money from so-and-so. If you don't get that check in the next few days, we can cancel it and reissue it. This is how stupid. It's the DMV all over again. It's the bit I do about buying a slice of pizza. It's about the bit about buying the tequila Bevmo. It's everything. It's every day. The hell happened to the common sense? Out the window. Now, I had a wonderful vacation in New York City. I want to thank all the listeners. I want to thank everybody that listens on my Patreon or subscribes and supports me. Thank you. I'm my own MoMA. In fact, I should up my fee to $30. I want to thank everyone that's watching my videos and passing them along. I also want to thank just everyone who just listens to this podcast and comes to see my shows, OrnyAdams.com/tour. Again, I will be, and I'm not done with this podcast, just giving out this information. Oh, and if you want to write me a letter, like that guy Larry sent me a letter saying, hey, listen, here's another otter attack. The email is what'swrong@OrnyAdams.com. What's, no apostrophe, what's wrong at OrnyAdams.com. I'm off to Las Vegas this week, Jimmy Kimmel Comedy Club, Brea Improv. Please get your tickets now. Then I'm also in Port Charlotte, Florida in October. I'm back in Vegas, working on my 2025. I got to retire. I got to put out another special and just get out. Losing my mind from all these forever chemicals. God, I was so excited when the post office came out with the forever stamp. Remember that? Now I don't even use stamps anymore. They got me to buy a couple of rolls of these forever stamps. I still have forever stamps. Yeah. And I have forever chemicals that are clouding my brain. Everything that's wrong with me is because of the forever chemicals. Now, the reason I gave you my email, my tour is at OrnyAdams.com/tour. And yes, you can meet me after the show. I need your help. So please respond to me at what'swrong@OrnyAdams.com. Because this can only happen to me. I was out to dinner last night at a fancy restaurant celebrating somebody's birthday. And when I say fancy, this meal's several $100s. I don't feel comfortable spending that kind of, I just think of all the people starving. I feel guilty. But this place is so nice, and the service, and it's just a beautiful, romantic restaurant. And it's everything. The food is great. The service is great. Everything. Top to bottom, perfection. Got a steak and got pasta and some mussels, which I don't eat, and burrata cheese, great bottle of wine, and the meal is going great. And all of a sudden I look up and I see a rat in the corner of the restaurant. Now, the restaurant feels like you're outdoors, and you really kind of are, because there are trees that kind of go through the restaurant, and it's got a retractable roof. There's open spaces, but you're inside. There's 4 walls. There aren't porous walls. And then I noticed behind, like, one of the trees, there was one of those black rat boxes. So I'm trying to get a picture of the rat. And I see the waiter. I call the waiter over and I said, hey, not to freak you out and everybody else in the restaurant, but there's a rat. And he kind of got a concerned look on his face. And he said, yeah, we're outdoors and, it's the season. And then the manager came over and he sort of said the same thing. And I'm thinking, how much are they going to take off the check? This feels like a free meal to me. And so the waiter said, we talked several times, and then he came back and there it is. And he saw it. The manager actually saw the rat, the physical rat. And this is a great restaurant. Now, I'm sure there are rats in every restaurant in Los Angeles, and certainly New York. You can't avoid it, but if you see it, it's unpleasant. And we were finishing up our meals, and so he said, do you want us to wrap the food up for you? And I said, person on where she said, yeah, wrap that up. And I thought, well, that's not going to help our case. I'm not going to get a free meal if we're taking stuff to go. And so he said, can I buy you dessert? And I was like, it's up to her. And she said, sure. So we got a cake, and they actually took us to this, they just built this VIP area upstairs. And it was gorgeous. I didn't see any rats up there. It was really cool. You could smoke up there. I wish I had a cigar, and they brought us port. and they bought dessert. And we were all alone up there. It was very nice. They couldn't have been nicer. And then we go downstairs, and I said, I think we're just ready for the check. Now, I'm expecting, am I wrong? Is this what's wrong with Orie Adams? I'm expecting a discount. Something. Maybe $100 off on a check that's several $100s. How about this? How about you give me a gift certificate to come back and say, hey, we want to make this right. We want you to have an experience unlike tonight. And we're going to give you a $100 gift certificate. You come back. If they give me a $100 gift certificate, which is $50 in cost to them, I would probably end up spending another $300. There was nothing. Am I wrong to expect? And I'm not the guy, I don't feel comfortable saying, hey, you're going to take care of us, right? Because, you know, I'm somewhat recognizable. It's Orny Adams on the reservation. Maybe they knew me. I don't want, you know, I felt uncomfortable. What would you do? You're at a fancy restaurant that you've been waiting to go to forever. A special night out. Everything's perfect. And then running in the corner. Oh, and I think the rat was dying. Look like it was on his last. Look like it ate some of the poison. You see a rat. I think before COVID, there was no question. You got a discount. What do you think? What's wrong at OrnyAdams.com? Thank you, everybody. Episode 126. I'll be back for 127. Going on tour, doing a couple of dates, doing my thing. Loving it all. Thank you, everybody who is sharing my podcast, reviewing my podcast, writing reviews, sharing it, whatever. I'm just going to repeat myself over and over and over. My God. Oh, P. Diddy. Look how you're coming out. Found 1,000 bottles of baby oil and no babies. Here's my thing. If you're going to have 1,000 bottles of baby oil for sex, I have a couple of decoy babies, you know, roaming around in the house. You know what I mean? That's what I say. Thank you to Eric Stoltz for mastering the audio and being a friend. We'll see you again. Thank you so much, everybody. And if you ever go to the MoMA in New York City, there's a great corner with 2 blank walls. And that's my exhibit. Please go check it out.